Ramchal has written a number of books that are not well known. One of them is the book of logic on how to think. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is thinking about thinking. That's the topic today. And how it applies to our learning, our understanding, anything, any conversation, any possibility that you have of actually thinking, this machine that the Ramchal discusses will be of help. Okay? So this is also how we learn in the yeshiva. So the Ramchal, in his book, Sefer Higayon, the book of logic, he discussed, and this is a university, so it's actually good. This type of shir actually could probably be more accepted in the normal yeshivas. In his introduction, he discusses the famous debate, the Ramchal, between Tornastrufus and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was a philosopher. He's a Russia, but he's a philosopher, and he's trying to give... Tornastrufus. He's a Russia. Rabbi Akiva was a tzaddik. That's important. And Tornastrufus is trying to convince Rabbi Akiva that bris milah is wrong. It's a bad thing to do a bris. So he poses the following question to Rabbi Akiva. He says, what's greater, the acts of God or the acts of man? Right? So if you're a rabbi, what are you supposed to say? What's your name again?
Shimmy.
Shimmy, what are you supposed to say?
You're supposed to say the acts of God.
You're supposed to answer God. Right? That's the normal answer. However, since Rabbi Akiva understood that Tornastrufus was trying to convince him that a bris is wrong, and if God made the human body perfect, why is man meddling with a Kadosh Baruch Hu's creation and cutting it? He understood that that's what Tornastrufus was driving at. So he left the room, famous Gemara, and comes back with raw wheat in one hand and a nice pastry in the other hand, and he looks at Tornastrufus and says, here's the act of God, here's the act of man, what's greater? And that's the end of the Gemara. So the Mefarshim all discuss what was the comparison between bris milah, raw wheat, and all of what was going on, and secrets about bris and what it means. But the Ramchal takes a fascinating chiddush from here. He says the human mind is raw wheat. We don't know. It's a creation of God. We have no idea how it works, why it works, what happens, why we understand things, why we comprehend. We don't know. If we drink coffee, then we understand things better. If you maybe take a pill, you can understand things better. But no one knows what's going on in there. We just know maybe move a little bit, whatever it is. We don't know what's happening in our minds. That's raw wheat. Says the Ramchal, the job of every human is to take the raw wheat and to crush it, take the brain and crush it, and make it even more powerful than it already is. And it is very powerful already. And he actually gives us a system of how to think, and I'm going to try to demonstrate this system, or the neshama of the system. It's a very complicated, complex, Aristotelian type of thinking, but my Rebbe has crystallized it and made it a very user-friendly machine, and I'm going to try to demonstrate it with you here, and you'll see that this will have tremendous, if you apply it, could have tremendous ramifications in everything we do in life, everything. So I'll try to demonstrate. The first thing the Ramchal says we have to do when we're analyzing any text, any conversation, any dialogue, is to identify what's the goal of the speaker. What's the goal of the sentence in front of you? Okay? And he identifies it into breaks it down into 7 different categories. A lot of it's going to be easy, and it'll get a little more complicated. So the first goal is a simple statement. In Aramaic, it's called a memra. A memra is a statement. The goal of the memra is to give you information. So if I say, this is a shtender, my goal is to give you information. Easy. That's statement 1. Number 2 is the question, looking for information. So if I say, what is this? Right? That's looking for information. Right? If I say, this is a shtender, if it's in response to a question, what is it? An answer. Very good. So the same word. Very good. The same words. This is a shtender. If it's prompted by a question, it becomes an answer. If it's on its own a standalone sentence, then it's a statement, a memra, giving you information. Good? Those 3 are easy. The 4th one is the kasha, the attack, the difficulty. Kasha, translated, means difficulty. If someone doesn't understand what I'm saying, feel free to interrupt. The kasha oftentimes sounds like a question. oftentimes, but it really is not looking for information. So, for example, if I was saying, let's assume Shimmy, well, let's not pick on him. Let's assume, what's your name? Shimmy? Let's pick, what's your name?
Jacob.
Jacob. Let's assume Jacob is falling asleep on me in the middle of the class. And I said to Jacob, what are you doing?
Sleeping.
No. Right. Yes. If I say, what are you doing? Am I asking him a question when I say that? Am I asking him a question? What are you doing? Or if you're playing with your iPod, let's assume in the middle of my class, I said, what are you doing, Jacob? Is that a question? Am I looking for information? If you say to me, Rabbi, I'm playing with my thing, I'm sleeping, is that address? Are we communicating if you do that? No. So what am I really saying?
Attacking.
I'm attacking you, right? What is the attack?
Criticizing.
Translate my statement into an attack, a kasha.
How dare you do that?
Okay, what's the problem? What's the attack? What's the difficulty that I'm raising?
That I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing.
What's wrong with that? What are you doing that you're not supposed to be doing? Let's say a clear thought. Translate the words. What are you doing, Jacob? Into a clear statement, like a comic book with the bubble on top of the head. What am I really saying?
Disrespect.
Oh, beautiful. It's difficult to justify your behavior because you are disrespecting me. Everybody got it? That's what are you doing? So the human mind instantly knows by body language, tone of voice, whatever, you know exactly that I am not asking you, what are you doing, right? But if you were playing with your iPod and I was from Kenya and I said, what are you doing? You would not say, you would not translate that as, maybe Kenya, they do have iPods everywhere, but let's assume I came when I have a bone in my nose, I don't know anything, all right? I'm a tribal something, okay? And I say,
know what it is.
What? You still know what it is. And I say, what is that? You would answer me, this is an iPod, it has tremendous features, this is what can it do? It would be a question. So the human mind immediately knows, naturally, intuitively, what's going on, the goal of the sentence. Sometimes it's not so simple. Sometimes, and for sure, if it's in a written page, in text, right, where you don't have body language, you don't have tone of voice, you don't know the dialect necessarily, right, you may be unclear. You may be unclear. This is oftentimes a machlokas in the Gemara, in the Rishonim, what the goal of the sentence is. For example, now, okay, let's finish. We have number one is the memra, the simple statement, giving information. Number two is the question, looking for information, a real question. Number three is the answer, providing the question. Number four is the kasha, the attack. Number five is, what's number five? What's your name? Akiva. Ladies? What's number five? If number one is a statement, two is a question, three is the answer, four is a kasha, difficulty, what's five?
Trying to reason the text.
What'd you say? A teretz, an explanation, a resolution of the difficulty. Just like an answer to a question, a teretz to the kasha. Very good. What's your name? Shaili. So, if I said to Jacob, what are you doing? And I bang. And he says that means your behavior is bad because you're being disrespectful to the rabbi. Okay? What would be a teretz to that kasha? Make something up. What would be a teretz, Shaili, to that kasha? What would resolve that difficulty? I'm yelling at him that he's falling asleep in the middle of my class. I say, what are you doing, Jacob? We translated those words into, it is difficult to justify Jacob's behavior because he is being disrespectful. What would be a teretz to that kasha? A removal of the difficulty. Remove the difficulty. What's the next move?
He explained why.
Go ahead, do it.
He didn't get a good sleep last night because he had a problem in his family.
Very good. Excellent. That would be a teretz, right? Or, I'm sorry. That's also accepting the kasha. That usually don't get too much. Maybe in Toronto you do, actually. New York, forget about it.
I'm sorry.
I love New Yorkers. Are you from New York? No, you're from here. So that's number five is the kasha. Number six is the proof, where you try to prove something, a raya. And number seven is a steer, a disproof. I'm not going to focus on those two today. But I want to point out the difficulty of sometimes people not knowing exactly what's happening. And I'm going to give an example. let's assume, Jacob, a woman walks into your shul. I have women in here, we'll do it. Okay? A woman walks into your shul and says to you, why is there a divider between the men and the women in your shul? What is the goal of her sentence? Just say one word, one of the 7 that I just said. Why is there a divider between the men and the women in your shul?
You're asking what she's trying to get to?
I just want to know the goal. I just spent 5 minutes explaining the 7 different possible goals, Jacob. Akiva.
Very good. I'd say it's an attack.
Good. Now, if she said, why is there a divider, then for sure it's an attack. Very good. Or she had tefillin on her head. If she was wearing, no offense to anybody, if she was wearing tefillin, we could posit that she is attacking you, right? What is the attack? Translate the words, why is there a divider between the men and the women in your shul, into an attack. Translate those words. What is she attacking? What is she really saying to you?
She's attacking his stance in Judaism. I mean, really.
Translate the words. Don't give me
a
set. Huh?
There should not be a mechitza in your shul.
That's a statement. I want an attack.
I think having mechitza is wrong.
What's wrong? Say the attack. What's the problem?
Judaism is.
What's the problem?
Sexist.
Oh, it is. Who is she attacking? Judaism? No. She's wearing tefillin.
Orthodox Judaism.
Excellent. Orthodox Judaism is wrong or bad because they're sexist. Correct? That would be.
I disagree with that.
Oh, I'm just right now. We're not doing that. That's very good. But that's what she's saying. Correct? Now, is that the only possibility that she's saying? What's another possibility?
You guys be curious.
She could be asking a question, right? So if she just walked off of a assimilated Jew who doesn't know anything from Alabama or whatever it is, or if she's not Jewish, right, then she may not be attacking, right? Now, the difference between these two statements, now, if it's in a written text, we're going to get there in a second, and you don't have the tefillin, you don't have, you don't know. How are you going to determine what is being said to you in that moment? Now, the difference is gigantic how you're going to respond. Because if she's attacking you, Akiva, how are you going to answer her? How are you going to remove her difficulty? She's saying, why is there a divider? But what you're hearing, when you translate the words, is Orthodox Judaism is sexist. That's what you're hearing, right? Because you've translated the words. Well, how are you going to respond to her?
Really,
give me a tear to the kasha.
Really, it's not sexist because
Go ahead,
we have equality in Orthodox Judaism, which is...
But I see that this mechitza and the women in the back. Answer her.
Just in prayers, men have more central positions, so...
Why?
Because women...
remove the difficulty.
Women generally don't come to minyan, at least during the day.
I want to. You didn't expect this from a radio rabbi. Neither did you. He told me women are going to be here. Let's make it exciting. Come on. How are you going to remove her attack? Go ahead. I'm teasing now. Try. She's saying, why is there a divider between the men? Get her a chair, please.
Yeah, sorry.
Why is there a divider between the men and the women in your shul? You hear sexist. How are you going to respond to that? Go ahead. I'm going to let you speak now.
I think it really gives people the chance to think about davening, please, and to concentrate without having to think about the opposite gender.
Oh,
so it's really
good
for each.
That's nice. Not bad. Okay? Now, if she was not the attacking woman, and she was really just asking you a question, she wanted to know why is there a divider, then you would go to the Gemara in Sukkah, and the Gemara in Sukkah says that in the Beis HaMikdash, during the Simchas Beis HaShoeva, during Sukkot, in the Beis HaMikdash there was a lot of intermingling and parties, so they had to make a Tikkun Gadol in the Beis HaMikdash. They had to make a women's section because of all the fraternizing that was taking place. That's the right word? Good. And they learned out from the Beis HaMikdash to a shul. That's if she really wants to know. But if she's attacking, she doesn't want to hear that. So one of the Bachrim in the yeshiva, who's from Brooklyn, no, he's not from Brooklyn, he's from Memphis. He was Memluki. He said to me when I asked him this question, how would you mitarize if there was an attack that Orthodox Union was sexist? And he said the same idea as you, just said it sharper. He said, Rabbi, I'm an animal. I'm a behemoth. That's what he said. I said, why are you saying that? He said, It's not that women are second-class citizens. I'm a second-class citizen. So that's what I'll tell her. I said, well, what are you saying? He says, I can't sit next to a pretty girl in daven. I can't. She can, but I can't. I'm limited. That's why we need a mechitza, and that's why she has to be in the back. Because if she's in the front, I can't daven. That's what I would say to her. So I said, very nice. I said, we have to work on your midos. However, what I loved about what he did was he took the exact point that she was making an issue out of, which was a proof that women are second class, and turned it on its head to remove the difficulty perfectly. We could debate his style, but the point, the logical point that he was identifying was exactly what needed to be discussed. Now, there's no tefillin, there's no question, no tone of voice. Listen to the words. Why is there a divider between the men and the women in your shul? That's the only text in front of you. That's the Gemara, or that's your statement. Identify. Look at the words. Take away your intuition. Just use your cognitive mind now. Active thinking. How are you going to identify from those words whether she is the tefillin lady or the lady who really wants to know? How are you going to figure it out? Look at the words. Ladies, please. How are you going to figure it out? What does she mean, this lady? Look at the text. This is not easy. This is crushing the raw wheat now. The raw wheat, if you hear her voice, you know immediately what she means. But now there's no voice. Why is there a divider between the men and the women in your shul? Shaili.
Maybe if she's saying in your shul, then she's saying specifically your shul as opposed to all shuls.
Very good. Excellent. And therefore she is attacking. Excellent. Give me another. Very good. Give me another looking at the words. Why is there a divider between the men and the women in your shul? No, your, if you have an emphasis on the your, implies my shul, we don't do that. Very good. Give me another one. This statement is hot-wired. I booby-trapped the entire statement. So you can pick almost any word and think about the word. But you have to actively think about it. It's not going to be natural.
The word why? She's not saying, like, what's it for?
Why? Or why? Same thing.
No, but she's not saying, like...
Why is the only word not booby-trapped?
She doesn't actually care what it is. She's already sort of attacking. She's saying,
you picked the only word that I didn't put in there.
But she's saying why straight away. She's not even asking, like, what it's for. She's saying, like, why? She already has a problem with it, basically. Something doesn't make sense.
But if she could say, why? Why is this?
Well, then she could say, how about your shul?
Oh, so, no, you could, but the word your, as opposed to this, that's a diuk, right?
Could be.
That's an inference. Your shul versus a shul, or this room, okay, implies a tefillin, the attack. Go ahead, please. What's your name? Rivka.
Maybe the word divider shows that, like, if they're saying mechitza, she says divider, so it shows that she doesn't really know. For her, it's just like a separation, but she doesn't understand like the... If
she said mechitza, it would be an attack. She knows a little Yiddish, or whatever mechitza means, right? But now that she said divider, this implies that the girl doesn't know anything. She's a girl from Alabama, and therefore, she's asking a real question. Excellent. Let's use the same word, divider. What if she said partition, as opposed to divider? You just made a comparison between the word divider and mechitza. Now let's go the other way. Divider versus separation. Divider versus partition. What would you think when she uses the word divider as opposed to wall?
She knows what it is.
She says something negative. Divider versus just a partition, a wall. Right? So you can make the inference in the other direction. And now that she said divider, she's attacking. You can go both ways. This is what in the Gemara, the Rishonim are doing all over the place. This is why you have arguments in the Gemara on these words. Rashi will say, no, look at the word divider. Or shul. Why did she say shul? Divider in your shul. Oh, shul sounds like she knows. Why did she say place of worship? Right? So each word you can go in either direction. This is not natural to think this way. The body language, that's the raw wheat being crushed. So fine. Step one, as we see, is identifying the goal of the sentence or the statement in front of you, translating it into a clear thought so that you can respond efficiently. Okay? That's step one. Step two, says the Ramchal, is a little more tricky, but I think you guys can handle it. Every single sentence, every thought that you think is built on two premises, okay? Two thoughts, that the sum total of the two thoughts equal the statement that you're making. I'll explain. If I say my name is Shimi, okay? My name is Shimi. That thought, that statement is held up by two premises that underlie. There's a general theory of what is a name. A name is something on my birth certificate. That's the general thought. Nothing to do with Shimi yet. A name equals something on my birth certificate, on my passport. Then the specific premise underneath that general premise is the application of the general theory to the subject of the sentence. So the specific premise would be, my passport says Shimi. The two thoughts together equal, my name is Shimi. Got it? Should I do it again? Shimi? You understand what I'm saying? General theory. Now, if that was my general theory of what a name is, something on my passport, then he's a liar. Do you agree with me? Shimi? Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Because your passport doesn't say Shimi on it, right?
Yeah.
So when he says, my name is Shimi, what is the general theory? Huh? Is your name Shimi? Depends what you mean by name, right?
Right.
Depends what your general theory of a name is, right? So the natural mind automatically knows that Shimi, when you say the name Shimi, what is his general theory of a name? What does he really mean?
How people call me.
My nickname, what people call me. And when I say my name is Rabbi Tagger, right? What am I saying? My nickname? My legal name? No. What is it? What do I say? My name is Rabbi Tagger. What am I saying? What's my general theory of what a name is in that sentence?
He wants to call you.
My name is Rabbi Tagger. What is the general theory of a name? What is a name?
What you want to be called?
My title. Right? That's the way you would call it. Right? My title.
Well, if you're talking to different people, you might say different
Of course, if I go to get a passport, I'm not going to say my name is Rabbi Tagger. They'll throw me out. They'll say, goodbye, you're weird. Right? And if he goes to get an aliyah at the Sefer Torah and the Rabbi asks him, what's your name? He's not going to say, my name is Shimi. He's not going to say that, correct? So the natural mind intuitively knows, in most situations, what the general theory of a sentence is. However, it's not always simple. That general theory of what a person means is hidden inside the sentence, and our job is to consciously unlock what the general theory is. The specific premise is just the application of the general theory to get the subject of the sentence, and then you have, my name is Shimi. Does everybody understand? I'm going to try to drive it home now to explain how hard and how important it is to always be thinking about what the general premise of any given sentence is. This is, in the Mashgiach, in the Yeshiva, this is the example that he uses to bring out this point, and I think it's, just make sure I get it right. Fine. We are now, good. We are reporters in a press conference, and Rabbi Greenberg is the Prime Minister of Israel now. Okay? He's going,
Under pressure.
yeah, you can handle it. He stands up, you don't have to, and says, I'm going to negotiate with the Arabs land for peace. Okay? That's what he says. Stands up, one of the reporters, what's your name? Yael? Ayala. Stands up, you don't have to stand up, and says, Mr. Prime Minister, are you crazy? And sits down. So let's do the system of the Ramchal, the two-step process. Are you crazy? What is the goal of that sentence? Ayala. So you have 7 possible words to say, nothing more. Statement, question, answer, kasha, difficulty, teretz, removal of difficulty, proof or disproof. It's a kasha. You're not asking for his psychiatric reports, correct? When you say the words, are you crazy, you're not asking him, are you mentally sane? That's not what you're saying. What are you really saying? Translate the words, are you crazy? What are you really saying to him? Ayala?
Basically
Baggage.
basically asking like why.
No, you're not asking. You're attacking.
You're saying that it's not right for him to be doing that.
Excellent. Your behavior is bad. Negotiating for Arabs, land for peace is wrong. That's what you're saying when you say, are you crazy? Right? Now, what's the general theory of the attack? Why is it a problem? What's the problem with negotiating with the Arabs, land for peace? What's the general theory, the premise of the kasha? What's wrong with it? What's the problem?
Well, usually it doesn't work.
Oh, inefficiency. It won't work. Okay? So it is difficult to justify inefficient behavior. That's the general theory, right? The specific application is negotiating with the Arabs land for peace is inefficient. Therefore, are you crazy? Right? Those are the two premises. Got it? Inefficiency. I don't believe you. I don't believe that's a shot. I don't believe that when someone says I'm going to negotiate land for peace, that the problem is it won't work. Let's assume Rabbi Greenberg wasn't the prime minister and he said I'm going to sell cars to the Arabs. Cars. He's a car salesman. And he said I'm going to sell cars to the Arabs. Would you yell, are you crazy? It won't work. They're cheaters. They're liars. They won't pay. Would that happen? It won't work? Is inefficiency really the problem? He'll say, don't worry about me. I'm a businessman. I got my lawyers. I know what I'm doing. I can protect myself. Land for peace is not just an inefficiency. There's something deeper of the general problem. What's the general premise? You hear what I'm saying? I don't think inefficiency is the it won't work is the problem. There's something more to it than that. You hear? Try again.
Also that for us, we don't want to give up our Israel.
Why? What's the problem? I want to give you peace.
But it's our land. Why should we give it to
So
them?
what if it's? What does that mean? It's your land. When you listen.
It was promised to us.
And therefore, 1 second. I have a kid, 5, 7 now. He's just staying 2 years, but when he was 5 years old, he used to get an allowance.
I thought you had 2 kids in like 2 seconds.
No.
5 kids.
No, I have too many kids. Forget about how many kids we have. I'm going to talk about it. But we have one who's 7, and when he was 5, I used to give him an allowance, and he had money. You remember this? He had money, and he went to the store to buy his toy. I said, it's time to give the guy the money, and you get the toy. He said, no, I want the toy. I said, you have to give him the money. He said, no, I want my money. It's my money. You promised me this money. So if you want to get the toy, you have to give the money to the man. You want peace, you got to give away the land.
That's not true. It doesn't work.
Well, explain. What's the problem with land for peace? I want to hear a crisp explanation of the problem. What's wrong with negotiating? Yes.
Well, in the past,
It won't work? I tried
No,
that already.
but-
Give me a new one. I have to try. I'm trying, says Rabbi Greenberg, Prime Minister Greenberg. I'm trying. What's wrong with negotiating? Why is he crazy? It's our land. Go with that. What's wrong? So it's my land to give away. If I was giving away his land, that's a problem. Now I'm crazy. I'm going to give away Africa in order to get land for peace. That's a problem. I can't give away someone else's land. Then he may be mentally unstable. But if he's giving away his land, that's a good thing. Well, you're saying something else.
well, it's almost like it's special to us. So,
Why? God gave it to us. Say it. Don't be afraid. You're in college. God gave it to us. Right? This is God's land. It's usher to give it away. Right? A religious approach. That's the general theory. Eretz Yisrael is kadosh. It's usher to give it away. Okay? Good? Give me another general theory of the kasha. Why the prime minister is crazy. Something, a secular reporter. Don't give me a religious man. Give me a secular reporter. Jacob. What's the general theory in the words, are you crazy?
It's not just his land to give, like, it's not his choice.
I'm the prime minister. You elected me.
That's valid.
Why is he crazy? Why is he crazy? What's the problem giving away land for peace from a secular perspective, not religious?
They want to have a place to live.
Who?
People, one.
What do you mean? I'm going to give a little peace.
There's like population.
Huh?
Like there's a big population right out of like a tiny piece of land, so if they give it away, then like everyone's like smushed together. Like there's like.
But we'll be peace. That's the whole idea.
Gush Katif are both like in tents.
Gush Katif is a new idea. It's unfair. Unfair. It's my home. I built this home. For 30 years I've been living here. I built it, and now you're just taking it away. Unfair. A whole new argument to displace people's homes that they built. That's a whole different argument than the religious person, right? Not the religious, the Haredi. Usher. Okay? Give me another one that has nothing to do with Gush Katif, nothing to do, a whole new idea, Shiley.
They made taxes from there.
Defense. You're putting us in danger. A whole new idea, right? Nothing to do with the other ones. Look at how much is contained in the words, are you crazy? 3 words. Are you crazy? Has so much philosophies that are arguing with you. Give me another one. We can come up with many more. Many more. Defense. You're putting people in danger. Religious. Unfair. Give me another one. Give me a secular reporter, Chiloni, humanist. What does he mean when he says, are you crazy? What is he saying? Land for peace? You're going to go negotiate with the terrorists? What does he mean?
You should give away the entire land to the Arabs.
No, he's saying you're crazy.
You're
Oh, you're not giving enough.
You're not giving enough. You're giving it. The opposite.
Okay.
We don't deserve to
Wow.
be here at all.
That's the first time I heard that one. Very good.
Give away everything.
Okay, very good. Give me another one. Assuming that are you crazy? Let's think of another way. Inhuman, immoral, to sit with a murderer at a table, legitimizing him. You hear? You can't sit with a terrorist at the table. You can't legitimize them. Nothing to do with religion, nothing to do with fairness, nothing to do with defense, nothing to do with efficiency. All these things are contained in those words, are you crazy? So when my friend did this exercise with me, I was embarrassed. I have to tell you the truth. Because I said to myself, what do I really believe? I never even took the time to think about what I believe when I yell at Charles Shudis or wherever we're talking about these issues. When I say, are you crazy? I didn't know which of these things am I actually meaning, because I never took 5 seconds to actually think about what I mean. And then it got even worse, because I said that when I had conversations with people, if I don't know what I mean, what did he hear me say? What did he hear me think? What did he think I was saying? Because he has a whole different idea of what are you crazy means to him. And I started to say how dangerous language is if we are not conscious of what the general premise of any statement is. Does everybody see what I'm saying? And that's why the Gemara is written in a dialogue format. That's why it's written in a conversation, because you could pack in so much information in 3 words. And you'll often find that all of these debates in the Gemara are revolving around what is the general theory of the difficulty, okay, of those statements. Fine. So the Prime Minister just said land for peace. Reporter said, Rivka said, not Rivka, Ayala said, are you crazy? Now the Prime Minister comes back and says, Abu Mazen is at Eish Torah. And he sits down. What's the goal of the sentence? What's the goal? Jimmy? What's the goal? You just have to say one word. He said a statement, she's attacked, it's a kasha. What's he saying now?
I didn't hear him.
Arafat, what's his name? Good. Is at Eish Torah. And he sits down. She said, are you crazy? He says, land for peace. Are you crazy? Arafat at Eish Torah. Abu Mazen at Eish Torah. I know he's dead. What's the goal of his sentence? Come on, Shiv, you can do it. What's the goal? One word.
Not sure.
Is it a question?
No.
Is he making a statement?
Maybe.
A statement is just giving information.
So no.
Is he answering a question?
No, it's a challenge. So no.
It was a teretz to the kasha. It was a removal of the attack. Correct, Jimmy?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
She attacked him, and he's trying to defend himself from the attack. Remove the attack. Got it? Now, what is now, every time you have a teretz to a kasha, a teretz is a removal of the difficulty, a resolution. The resolution must always knock out one of the 2 premises in the attack, either the general premise or the specific application of the general premise. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Yes? So which premise, when he says Arafat at Eish Torah, is he removing? We gave 5 different versions of a general theory of the kasha.
How many of you have a 130 class?
Am I done?
How many of you have a 130 class?
I have to finish up quickly.
Well, you go to Mincha, then they're going to disappear and knock at the end. I don't know.
We'll do a post here.
You want me to do like a...
I'll try to hurry up.
No, maybe end in 6 minutes and
Good.
to do a post and then let people leave who need to leave and those who can stay till Mincha.
Okay, great.
You can
Fine.
do like
Okay, so we'll do 6 more minutes. And
Just
then I'll
wait,
stop.
right, some
I'll try to
closure,
wrap
wait for a
something up.
minute, and
Fine.
then
Excellent.
we'll do
Okay.
another 10 minutes.
So But he gave 5 different versions of a general theory: inefficiency, unfair, usher because of halacha, dangerous. We gave different versions, but they were all the general theory, right? The specific premise is the application of the general theory to his behavior, to negotiations. So when we say Abu Mazen's at Eshet Torah, what are we removing? He says it's wrong to negotiate with a Russia because he's a terrorist. You can't sit down with him. What is he saying?
No, he's not a terrorist.
He's accepting the general premise that it's wrong to negotiate with a terrorist, but this is not an example of that problem, right? Because Arafat's at Eshet Torah. You hear? The guy's doing tshuva. He's whatever he's doing over there, but he's not a bad guy anymore. So the kasha, it won't work. It's inefficient. Now it will be efficient. I agree that it's wrong to do something inefficient. This is the statement of the terrorists. I agree that it's wrong to negotiate with a killer or a murderer or put people in danger, citizens. But now I have a good partner, Arafat and Eshet Torah. Do you see that? Now, if Arafat and Eshet Torah, did we remove the kasha of Ayala, the general theory, that it's usher to give away the land? No. So we can remove her pshat from the words, are you crazy? Everybody see that? Because the response is, Arafat and Eshet Torah does not address the general theory of it's usher or unfair, Gush Katif, the way you said it. What's your name? Rachel. You're not addressing that, so we could say that probably wasn't what was meant by the words, are you crazy? But what is he addressing? It won't work. It will work, because then I have a good partner. It's putting people in danger. It's not putting, they have a good leader, right? It's inhuman, immoral. No, this is not a bad man anymore. Does everybody see what I'm saying here? That's removing the specific premise. Well, what if he said, I'm wrapping up. What if he said, I have women and children to worry about? Not Arafat at Eshet Torah. I have women and children to worry about. It's still a terror to the kasha. That's the goal. He's removing the attack, right? But how is he removing the attack now? I'm going to say it. He's removing the general premise. He's saying, you think it's wrong? You think it's crazy because it's God's land? I have women and children. Pikuach nefesh overrides your concern. I deny the general premise. You say it's wrong to put people in danger. I have women and children in danger now. We could debate the points of the argument. But as everybody sees, this terrorist is vastly arguing with the attacker, with the reporter. There's a big debate between them. Because the first guy who said Arafat Eshet Torah, he accepted everything. He accepted the general problem. He just said this is not an example of that problem. The second guy is saying, the second prime minister, when he says I have women and children to worry about, he is denying everything that the reporter said. Does everybody see what I'm saying? To identify what is the specific and what's the general premise of any given statement changes your life. I'm going to leave you with this. My Rabbi Green, did you ever meet him? He was here.
He actually ran a program at your house, but you were in like grade 9 or 10.
He's an eccentric, unique man. Guys, he should live in New York. Yeah, he's something. He's something. So, about 15 years ago, his father-in-law, we were in front of the yeshiva. Our yeshiva was in the old city, in Yerushalayim. And on Friday night, everybody coming from the hotels walks past our yeshiva going down to the kotel, to daven, Friday afternoon. And we're walking up the hill to the yeshiva against traffic. And then after davening, we finished davening, we walked back down into the old city to our houses to eat. And everybody else is walking up the hill to the hotels. So we're always against traffic. You have a picture. We're standing in front of Rabbi Green's house right across the street from the yeshiva. 5 of us, he wasn't even here yet. And a couple old ladies are walking up the hill going to the hotels. Old ladies. And the old lady looks at Rabbi Green and starts screaming at her in front of all of us, saying, you people who live in the old city, you need to move out and live in a real world and get a life. She said, Shiva, we're all uncomfortable. It's the old lady, but she's so old. She was like 80 with the gold and the hair. You know what I'm saying? Old lady. So she got away with it on some level, yelling at him. He paused for a minute. I watched this. These are the words that came out of his mouth. He leaned over to her, threw his hands up in the air, and said, life is supposed to be fun. Life is an amusement park. We should all have fun. What's wrong with living in the fake world or fantasy world, whatever he said? The lady was giggling. We all started laughing, and she walked up the hill. That was it. And afterwards, before I went home, I said, Rabbi Green, I said, I noticed that you paused for a minute before you did your whole thing. I said, what were you thinking? And these are the words he said. He said, I was thinking, should I deny her general premise or the specific premise of her kasha? I said, what? I could not believe what he was saying. It was like a Gemara shir. He said, she's saying it's wrong to live in a fantasy world. My immediate response was to say, to remove the specific. And say, I agree, but I don't live in a fantasy world. I have bills to pay. I have to go shopping. It's hard to schlep the groceries into the old city. You know, it's hard to live there, but I have the bills to pay. I send my kids to school. I do live in the real world. And he said, but if I do that, the old lady's not going to go away. So I decided to go after the general premise. She says it's wrong to live in a fantasy world, and I said it's right to live in a fantasy world. And this way we'll make levity of the situation, and everything will be finished. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This is a chacham talking. This is a chacham, because look what he did. As old as she was, to embarrass another person, a rabbi in public, is a serious avera. It's not a simple thing. And he diffused it in seconds. This is the power of thinking about thinking, being conscious of what's going on around you. And it affects everything in your life to know exactly what is the person saying, translating the words into a clear, crystallized thought, identifying what are the hidden general theories that are in there. Come to our yeshiva. The women, sorry. Thank you very much for listening.
Cool, thank you. And we're going to take a...